to you all at home?
Both McLaren start on the medium, feeling strong ahead of the race.
You've still got a chance to win this race, haven't you?
Just try. I wanna be the only one to take it to the edge where I lived 1,000 lives.
When I brake very late, to open up the left hand.
Fascinating race ahead.
Hello there. Formula One is back with the first pre-season test underway here in Jerez in sunny southern Spain. This time last year, all the teams were wrestling with new turbo technology. Mercedes appeared most on top of it back then and went on to dominate the season. So will these first few days on track confirm that they remain the team to beat in 2015? Drivers' champion Lewis Hamilton and his teammate Nico Rosberg lifted the covers off the W06. Its predecessor won 16 races and took all but one pole. Can it be as dominant? Towards the end of the year, Mercedes customers Williams offered the most serious competition. Valtteri Bottas and Felipe Massa became podium regulars. Can the FW37 take them this season to its top step? Rosberg aimed to be first on track, but Sebastian Vettel nipped ahead, perhaps a statement of intent at the start of his Ferrari career. Topping the timesheet was another. Management have described the new Ferrari as a sexy beast. How to describe this model was more perplexing. Red Bull's garish livery, thankfully only a test spec.
It's this usual thing that everybody works away over the winter, and once the new cars come out, then everybody's looking at what everybody else has been up to. So if we can help to disguise that a little bit and conceal some of the shapes we've developed over the winter, then that prevents them getting as good a knowledge of our shapes as they might do otherwise. How much difference it makes, we'll see, but it's something different.
Okay, but is this essentially a launch spec car? That's what a lot of people are saying around here. Will you have a very different car when you arrive in Melbourne?
It will be the usual developments. I wouldn't say it'll be a very different car. There will hopefully be some changes which we're working on, but the car we have here is the basic structure of what we'll have in Melbourne.
How enthusiastic are you about designing under these current regulations? The cars look very similar, the ones that have arrived here. Are your hands tied to a degree?
Very much so. I mean, I think in truth it's a very difficult compromise in terms of having relatively open regulations that can cause excessive spending if not carefully controlled. Don't really buy that one because we have wind tunnel and CFD restrictions, but also there's, I think, been a fear that with overly open regulations one team might get a big advantage over the others. I think that's gone the other way now, where the sort of blend, in my opinion, should always be a combination of driver, chassis and engine, and at the moment I think it's very much skewed towards the engine. And the chassis regulations have become over-restricted, and as you say, the problem with that is that then the cars all look the same. It's difficult to differentiate. From my point of view as a designer, it's difficult to find new avenues, so I do feel we've become over-restrictive.
One last thing, you doubted at the launch of the car online that you could mount a title challenge. Having seen what Mercedes have done today, would you write off a Red Bull title challenge this season?
I think Mercedes should win it, frankly. They have a power advantage. And as I said, in this relatively engine-dominated formula at the moment, then that puts them hugely ahead. The chassis is very important, though. Can we make enough of a difference on the chassis to mount a challenge? I think it'll be extremely difficult. We obviously do our best. But in that sense, going back to the earlier conversation, a bit more freedom on the chassis regulations would make that more viable.
But the car worked. Daniel Ricciardo completed more laps in a day than the team managed here in a week last year. Locals came in big numbers to see Fernando Alonso return to McLaren colours, although he'd managed only 6 laps, and his Honda powertrain sounded some gruff notes.
Fernando, good to see you. I'm still getting used to you in black and white, man. Have you got used to it yet?
Not yet. Obviously, I looked in the mirror this morning and I said, "Wow, this is strange." But I'm proud. I'm proud to be part of this project. You know, it's the comeback of McLaren Honda after 22 years, and you know, to be in the car today, to do the first couple of laps is honor for me, and you know, I'm looking forward to do something special on this team now.
They'll sort out the little niggling electronic problems, won't they? And the team believe that there is pace in the car, but maybe have you prepared yourself that you might have a little bit of a slow start and getting the major points before everything gets sorted out?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's not a surprise for anybody what we could face during this winter period. I think we saw last year in the whole winter testing, maybe Red Bull was doing 6 laps, and we did 6 laps already today. So definitely we have a lot of things to learn, a lot of things to improve. But you know, I think we are aware of that, and we are all excited about this project. And the car looks quite different, looks very aggressive, very radical design. So it will require a little bit of time, but I think we have everything in our hands.
Okay, and last one from me. Ron says that the design and the livery of the car, the colours will change. He won't tell us when it will change, but be honest, when you first saw it, did you think, oh, I was hoping for the old red and white, the old McLaren Honda?
Not really. I was not so curious about the color. In fact, I knew last Tuesday. I think the launch of the car was on Thursday, and I knew on Tuesday, so I was not asking too much about the colors in all winter.
Okay, thanks, Fernando.
Mercedes' performance was ominous for the rest. 157 laps for Rosberg on day 1 included several race-length stints. Remarkable for a new car.
Today it was all about mileage, you know, just doing the laps, because only in that way can you start to see where are the problems with the car, you know, where's the things that could break, you know, and so it's important just to pound around and do really try and do long stints, you know, and that's what we did today, and I'm happy from that point of view because we really managed to get all the program done. We had some issues, but nothing major that stopped us from running. So all in all, that's a good start. Performance-wise, I mean, Sebastian did a quick lap there, so we need to wait and see with that. It's impossible to judge that for now.
Can you tell us, is the car significantly more powerful than last year? That's what all your rivals are afraid of.
Well, we're hoping that we manage to find a little bit more power, but how much it is going to be in the end is still to be seen.
You talked about working on lots of little things, particularly with regard to Sunday performance. When do you start working on that on track? Is it something you can start to do already, or do you want to do that when the car is in a more finished position?
Now it's all about reliability, but of course even now you can always sneak in the odd you know, setup change as we did today in the afternoon, and it's all a learning process, you know, and so everything you can sneak in even now we can all learn, and because it's a new car, you know, and it'll require different settings. The tires are different also, we must remember, the rear tires, so that's going to really have a big influence on all the setups, the whole setup of the car, and so we need to try and get a head start on that as well, you know, at the same time as just doing the miles.
How confident are you can take the steps you need to do to overcome Lewis and the rest this year?
Very confident. I mean, for sure, wherever we are with Lewis, it's going to be a great battle again, and I look forward to that. It was a big challenge last year, and it's going to be a big challenge again this year, you know, and that's what I'm racing for, such challenges, and also the challenge of improving myself, because that's what I need to do, you know, to try and beat Lewis. So it'll be good.
Is the tension between you diffused now? We saw you exchanging pictures and that kind of thing at the car's launch, or will it get tense again when the racing begins?
Well, it's so intense, you know, the battle between us, so it's going to go up and down all the time. I think that's quite natural.
It's a great start. I mean, it's an amazing start for the first day, isn't it? It's incredible. So, obviously, I haven't been in the car yet. Still have the excitement. Obviously, I know the car, I know the engine. know the process. So yeah, I'm actually in a better position in terms of my approach and in terms of the experience with the car, or you know, the software and all that kind of stuff, and setup wise. So I'm in a better position, but mentally I feel like it's just like last year, man. I want to win this year. How am I going to go about doing that? How am I going to learn? How am I going to study? How am I going to execute on race weekends to improve on how I did it last year? The third is not it's not what gives me the motivation. It's just I just love driving the car, man. And I love competing. I love racing. I love coming here knowing that there's 21 or 17 other drivers that are out there to try and beat me and to out-drive me, and I love that competition. I love that challenge, and also knowing that I have a chance of winning or bettering them. So I mean, that's just motivation has never really been an issue for me. It just comes naturally. As I said, you know, the season starts again. I don't sit here feeling like, okay, you're world champion. I come here feeling I'm number 44, and this is another championship. I don't sit here feeling like I'm two-time world champion. I really feel like I'm going for that one. But of course, you know, the top drivers in the past, the greats, had the 3 titles. So naturally, of course, if I've got 5, 6, 7, whatever years left in the sport, of course I'm not here to finish second. So I would hope that in that period of time, if I'm fortunate enough to have another, that would be amazing. But I'm also grateful for the chances that I've had to get the 2 I have, you know, and from now is kind of a bonus.
So an interesting first day of pre-season testing here in Jerez, and not entirely unexpected how events unfolded on track. Mercedes clearly have a more polished package than their rivals, who seem to be leaving the development window open as late as possible in the hope that upgrades can get their performance level as close as possible to the world champions in time for the first Grand Prix in Melbourne. Will they be successful in doing that? Well, why don't you stay tuned to Ted's Notebook coming up straight after this to find out, and I'll be back again with all the highlights from day 2 here in Jerez. Bye for now.
Join us on Wednesday the 11th of February at 8:30 p.m. on Sky Sports F1 for a development special. Anna Woolhouse is joined in the studio by former Ferrari chief engineer Steve Clark and F1 technical blogger Craig Scarborough, and they'll be discussing all the team upgrades from the first test in Jerez.